Uh, and we will start in about, I think, 5 seconds. Let me see this. Oh no, we are live now. Hey everybody. You are watching and listening to the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. I'm joined by my co-host. He is the mouth from the South, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Fights.
Hey y'all, how's it going? And with us today, we got somebody who's from the Midwest, but is just as interested in Japanese mixed martial arts as he is. He hails from Lindenwood, Ohio,
Lyndhurst.
Lindenhurst, Ohio.
How about to say the mean suburbs of Cleveland?
Yeah, let's just say the mean suburbs of Cleveland that don't include anywhere the Paul brothers stay at. Yeah, let's just say that. He is Michael Soltis. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How about yourselves?
We're doing all right. Andrew, what say you?
No complaints other than the 86 degrees Fahrenheit here.
God bless air conditioning.
Well, I got my air conditioning blasting right next to me. So if you hear like a big, that's it. I am not turning that off, even for Ryzen 37. But I'm like, tell us a little bit about yourself. You contacted me through email about I forgot. I totally forgot. It's like 40 email chains. So I can't remember the first email that it was. But
I was just looking to see if you guys had any info on trying to find Ryzen 36 because of Ryzen Stream Pass just not being accessible for international fans. And then just wanted to say you guys were doing a great job, and then got to talking, and then I just threw it out there that I'd be interested in doing something for the podcast one day if it was up, if that was a possibility one day, because I've never done this, and you guys were kind enough to have me on. So, and been a JMMA fan since I was 16, and going back to my first event watching was Pride 10, and at the Seibu Dome with watching Kazushi Sakuraba face Renzo Gracie, High-End Gracie facing, of all people, Kendo Kashin.
Was that the one? That was the one that he win that match because Gracie like tried for a jumping maneuver but then broke his hip.
No, that was Pride. That was Pride 16. That was about a year later. That was the rematch. This is the one where Haya knocked him out with that barrage of punches in, I think, like 90 seconds.
Oh, yes. I remember.
And then this is also the Kazuyuki Fujita Ken Shamrock one. And I think this was at the Seibu Dome, if I remember right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm trying to remember what else was on that card. It was Igor Vovchanchin and Son, in a way. It was Mark Kerr versus some Russian Borisov Igor, where he won with a can opener. And I don't think it was on the tape, but I think Kazunari Murakami, you might remember that name, former pro wrestler, who was Naoya Ogawa's boy back in the UFO days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was on that card. I think he lost to Masake Satake. I think that was Satake's only MMA win. So,
of these matches, Chris?
What?
Yeah. Oh, you have memories of these matches?
I remember watching them, but I don't really. I mean, I wasn't really off into MMA at the time, obviously.
Mike, tell us how you got. How you got? Well, I'm assuming you got into Ryzen because you're a JMMA fan, but like, how did you? I mean, when did you get into Ryzen? Is a better question.
I actually I watched the first two Ryzen events on stream. I can't remember exactly how, because it was, it's been almost 7 years actually. But it was the Russian TV Match TV, I think it was. I think that's where they were on.
Yes. Those days where it was either Chinese or Russian streaming thing. You had to find them on.
And I remember just being on the Sherdog Worldwide MMA forums, and they mentioned a new company, and so I started following it, and that's how. And I figured I'd give it a shot, and I've been a fan ever since. I've watched almost every single event, even when they were on Fight, even when they were on Eversport. So I know its history relatively well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Have you?
so do I. I mean, obviously, I remember when they were, just looking to get free viewers off of that Eversport deal, and when they were just getting on to Fight.
Mm-hmm. Did you have you when they left fights and then went on their service? Did you follow them to their own the Ryzen Live thing as well, or have you ever taken have because of Ryzen's wishy-washy history of English international distribution? Have you ever not like watched a show or ever like took a break for them or
Yeah,
have
I
you
have.
been? Oh, okay.
My Landmark Volume 3 plus I was at work that day.
Mhm.
So, and I wasn't paying, what was it, 30, $40 for a 5-match card. That's not worth it to me.
I got you. No, I got you.
And with the whole, I did follow them to Live Now, which worked for me fine, but clearly barely anyone was watching because that service to go under like that.
Oh, you know what? It is crazy now that, and I just realized this, that it did go under because I was trying to access it through my TV and my phone, and I kept getting
Well,
errors.
Chris, you to take credit, man. Don't be humble. You're the one who discovered this. You're the one who really
Yeah,
like nobody
well,
else like mentioned it. You should take
Oh,
credit
yeah,
for that, man.
I didn't
nobody
realize
else,
it either.
and that's the funny thing about it. Nobody else is mentioning it. I mean, I think I got like a notification saying that Live Now liked my tweet about it, but they ain't saying shit.
I DM'd them as well. No, they haven't checked their I haven't gotten a little blue check mark thing to see that they even read it. So I think Live Now has gone the way of the dinosaur.
It's gone the way of QB. Let's be real.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Wow, that thing lasted 6 months and pissed away what, $1 billion in funding.
Not even a billion. Listen, I think that was probably some guy was operating it probably within it, like his office or his basement, because really like it was some of the worst shit I've ever had to deal with. You remember that one show that where it got cut off, the kickboxing one in Osaka, Koji and Taiju, they got kicked off where we had WCW what was
we have a 98.
Yes,
all over again.
Exactly. Yeah. This one, and then this is digital, by the way. This is digital streaming where there should be no like. This isn't like, oh, you're. This isn't television where like you have the block time. This is internets where there is no such thing. So that happens. Oh, such utter horseshit. I Fight was their best platform.
Yeah. So my question is, I'm assuming it's got to be Ryzen. I'm assuming Ryzen Live would be the best option.
Well, actually, again, I'm going to thank you for this, Mike, because you were like, because when you were talking to me, like, is this going to be available through Stream Pass? And I think so. But the problem with Stream Pass is, seems like some people have access to it outside Japan. Other people don't. I don't know what.
I don't
know what the reason is. It just seems to be random. But you then mentioned Ryzen Live, and I was like, oh, Ryzen Live, but they haven't updated that since the Landmark show from this year, because I checked for 36 and it was still the Landmark show from like February or March or whatever it was. And then when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, let me go check. And I was like, oh, wait, they actually have the poster here for the new show. So maybe they are going to do it. That might be the only way for us to watch it, because they don't, well, as far as I know, they don't geo-block the Ryzen the Ryzen Live thing, as far as I know.
Yeah. Didn't you watch that when they, with that whole issue with them leaving Fight for Ryzen, I think it was 22 and 23. Is that what you guys used when you did that play-by-play?
Oh yeah, that was the only way. That was the only way to watch it. There was no other way to watch. They didn't have the streaming service. That was the only way that we could watch it. By the way, Mike, you have a fan in the chat. Christopher Kalina screams, Mike.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. I mentioned that I was doing this podcast for the hell of it, and I've been friends with him since first grade.
And Josh Rumbin is a Shrek and Vugar Karamov fan, judging by his comments. War Shrek, War Vugar Karamov. We'll see. Those are gonna be two interesting fights. But yeah, I think Ryzen Live is gonna be the way that we're gonna have to watch this. I think it's the equivalent of like $30 in US dollars, I believe.
I think
watch?
it's 36.
Okay,
if you
36.
get it early. I think if you get it early, 5,000 yen if you get it early. 5,500, I think, day of show.
I
mean,
mean,
wrong on that.
I again, the yen is worthless now, so it might be less than that. That'd be great if it is, but yeah, I mean,
Great.
I have the streaming pass, but I couldn't watch the original show, the 36 on it, so yeah, it's gonna be kind of like throwing darts and with blindfolded in a dark room with music blasting. Josh has a question. Is a full library on Rise of Stream Pass yet? No, it is not. It is not.
But it's got enough. It's got enough stuff to where you can justify, what is it, $5 a month, whatever it is.
I think, yeah. Didn't they say that like if you sign up now, you're grandfathered in or something?
Yes, they are. Yes, you are.
So that's what I did. I'm presuming that they should be doing that by Mayweather. If not, listen, I grew up. Well, why shouldn't I say I grew up? But I'm of the belief, or I've been told, that if you make an app, unless you specifically say it's in beta, it should be basically glitch free, bug free. Should be the full whatever. Same thing with a video game. When you make a video game. Apparently I'm going blurry. When the video game goes gold, gets released, it should be 100% what it is. So yeah, hopefully we get something. We get that the full thing. And I don't know if it's gonna be the shows themselves or the matches individually. Hold on, my camera's all screwed up. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping, is that it'll be the full shows. We'll get some of the stuff from the Ever Sports, the old days, the old Ryzen days. So
no. And hopefully when you say that, hopefully some of the Fight TV commentary, even though Fight TV owns the masters to their streams, hopefully when it comes to some of the commentary that was put on the Fight TV versions of these shows, some of that shit will be edited out for obvious purposes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Joe Warren.
I think they'll just probably have probably I think unless if they do like an English version or like a non-Japanese version, I think they'll just have no commentary. Actually, no, I think they didn't Shingo on Drake's show say that they would be uploading with no commentary. I think I heard that.
I don't think it'd be similar to what Ryzen. I mean, it'd be similar to what Fight TV got for Ryzen 22 and 23 with no commentary.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. I don't know, Mike, as a long-time JMA fan, are you somebody who's like, I must have English commentary, I must know what's being said? Are you one of those people?
No, the interesting thing is I'm actually trying to learn Japanese through Duolingo and NHK Japan. So I kind of find it cool to listen to the Japanese commentary, honestly, if I can understand anything.
Oh, it's great. No, I have no problem with that, but there are some people, as a pro wrestling fan, I'm assuming you've watched New Japan or,
occasionally I have access TV at home, but I know you guys are AEW fans, me not so much, but that's a debate for a different time. But for me, not really. I mean, I don't care, but I can understand why more casual fans would be turned off by a lack of English commentary. They want to feel that emotion, that storytelling.
Yeah.
At least that's my opinion on it.
If there's anybody in the chat who's I'm curious to know in the chat, if you need English commentary or don't care or prefer Japanese commentary, feel free to also let us know as well. I'm curious to know as well. But before we get into Rise 37, a little bit of a breaking news thing that I got told of, and it looks like Oka Sazaki and Nakahara is gonna be off the card. I've been told. That's all I can say at this point. I don't know if there's gonna be replacement fight or replacement opponent, I should say. But as far as I know, it has not been officially announced, but I've been told that Sazaki Nakahara will not be happening. And
we know who's hurt.
I won't say at this point. It'll probably come out eventually. But I'll just say that it looks like that fight was probably going to be, especially a week. They could get somebody probably as a replacement, but I don't see it happening because they didn't do because Inoue and Takizawa, which was also taken off because Inoue injured his back. They didn't get a replacement for Takizawa. I guess if you want for shits and giggles, if you want to do Takizawa versus the person who didn't pull out from the Sazaki Nakahara fight, I guess that's kind of a little bit of an interesting thing, maybe.
But isn't it a different weight? Because isn't
that's the thing? Yeah,
featherweight and Takizawa's a Bantam.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's what that's But listen, you know what? Maybe maybe they could come up with a catch weight, something, middle road. I don't know. It's JMMA. It's not really there's really no rule. I don't want to say there's no rules, but there's a little bit of leeway you can do. It happens. I would have no problem if they put Takizawa against the opponent who as far as I know is still in good condition for Nakahara Sazaki.
Because if it's Ulka, it'd be a rematch from New Year's Eve in 2019.
Yeah. That was Sazaki's return match after Kai broke his jaw.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, if they want to do a rematch or not a rematch, I see no problem with that. I listen. It is JMMA. It's a little of a wild world, so it would be interesting from that perspective. Then yeah, poor Inoue. I was really looking forward to him coming back. Michael, are you an Inoue fan?
I am. I'm a big Inoue fan. He really won me over against Shuto Watanabe. I was very surprised he beat Shuto as quickly as he did.
And then Matoya almost the same exact way.
Oh God, that was incredible.
But yeah, hopefully that the people get better. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I was gonna say, and I'm in the minority, but I like Takizawa too.
Takizawa is an interesting fighter.
Yeah. He is.
I don't like his little TikTok dancing crap routine, but that's just me because I'm an old man.
I'm older than you. Come on.
I do think he's got a little bit of a quirky personality. Plus, I won't lie, I still love that Imanari fight that he had. That's one of my favorite fights of all time.
To be fair to him, if he either gets, this is a classic of just win and look better later.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Because I would have done the same thing if I were him, because there was no way he was going to survive a conventional fight with Imanari. No way.
Actually, so Josh Rubin in the chat says he prefers English commentary. Okay, that's fair enough. I understand that. Yeah. And also here's the thing, Takizawa. Here's the thing. He always does come to fights, minus that one fight. If you see him, he knocked out Matoya.
He's for real.
Yeah, he's for real. He's definitely somebody who grew on me in his Rizin tenure. So but best of health and recovery to Inoue. Well, the funny thing is, whenever I hear about an injury in Rizin, I always remember Wei Li Zhang was supposed to have her match in Rizin, and she got
with Murata.
Yeah, and then she got an injury, and then a few months later she's in UFC. I'll just say I hope it's not that. I hope it's not that type of injury. Wink, wink. But yeah, so Rizin 37. Chris, your favorite arena?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get back on track here. Rizin 37 will take place at the Saitama Super Arena, whether we can watch it or not. Next Sunday, July 31st, the card is set to begin at 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Pacific, July 30th.
As far as I know, well, I do find it weird though that they do put out those English tales of the tapes on the Rizin official English page, and then don't tell us about how we can watch it. I do think that's weird. If I'm gonna assume for now that this show we can watch this. There won't be English commentary, but I'm just gonna assume as of this point that we will be able to watch it if through Rizin Live.
If anything, when it comes down to English commentary plans and that we can, and the hopes that we can watch it, with Live Now being dead now, so to speak.
It's dead now. I like that.
Yeah, hopefully, but still though, with Live Now being dead now, hopefully we can. I mean, hopefully there's a plan in place to have English commentary or some way that we on this side of the Pacific can see it. If not by the Mayweather Asakura fight card in September, then definitely by New Year's Eve when they have their big ass fight card.
Yeah, I'll say this. If they don't have like English commentary or some sort of avenue to watch New Year's Eve easily, then I'm gonna be like, okay, clearly there's something going on, because I would at least expect for the New Year's Eve show, that's kind of like their WrestleMania. You kind of want people internationally to tune in. So if they don't have that, if they don't have that for us, then that to me is not looking good. Actually, also as well, RIP to the Rizin official store closing down. RIP. How long has it been in operation? Maybe 2 or 3 years? Does anybody know?
I can't imagine. I don't think it's that long.
I feel like they opened up during the pandemic. I could
think
be
they
wrong
did.
though.
Or
Okay.
near, or like maybe late 2019.
It's entirely possible. But yeah, I want to go to Japan, go there one day, see if they were going to sell those gloves, the gloves that every fighter says is like the best gloves in the world. And then, yeah, unfortunately, RIP. So, yeah, just, I know one of the questions I get asked most is how do I buy shit from Ryzen? And it's still like difficult to buy merchandise from them, internationally. But yeah, well, I don't know what it means, but hopefully we'll be able to get to find a way, be able to get merchandise from them much more easier down the line. Now with this card though, it was looking to be like, oh, just MMA, but unfortunately it's Ryzen, and they decided to sneak into kickboxing matches. Unfortunately, we don't really talk about kickboxing matches here. But actually, Mike, I want to ask: did you watch the match, Tenshin versus Takaru?
I couldn't watch it live. I couldn't find a stream, but I watched that fight, and awesome fight. It went the way I thought it would. I just thought Tenshin was too fast, too talented for him, and that. But that being said, I do wonder if it would have been a 5-round fight, would it have been different?
That's the big question. I think Tenshin would have prepared for himself for a 5-round fight.
Yeah.
And it still would have gone the same way in my opinion. I don't think it would have been there would be any difference.
I was just gonna say the gap in skills between Takeru and him, as good as Takeru is, Tenshin was on another level technically and speed wise.
Yep. Are you looking forward to his boxing career?
No, because I think he's going to flop miserably, because his boxing, it's excellent for kickboxing, but when you go into, I'm a boxing fan like Christian is, and there is a ridiculous difference. I mean, you don't see that many Muay Thai fighters transition to boxing all that well. I mean, you have a few like, I think Virapul Sahapram, former 2-time bantamweight world champion, was one of them. I think the Hall of Famer Kyosai Galaxy, the longtime WBA junior bantamweight champion, I think he was one. I think that, who was the guy? I'm not Ruen wrong. The guy who Tenshin beat knockout. What's that?
I mean, I think Ruin wrong fought Tenshin before, but he was a former world champion, right?
Moby Dick Judge Holden says Samart.
I'm not sure, but I'm not Ruin wrong. The guy who beat Kazuto Ioka gave Ioka his first loss.
Oh, Moby Dick says beat Tuan Mesa and Lupe.
Not sure.
Muay Thai is not my wheelhouse, so
I'm just saying, like the transition, the footwork, everything is completely different, of course. Yes. But Tenshin's got tremendous speed and he's got power, so so there's that going for him. I thought he was I remember during the build up to the Mayweather fight that Jorge Linares was impressed with him, and Linares in his prime was as good as anyone I've seen in the last 15 years talent wise in boxing. But maybe that was all talk. We'll see in the coming years. I hope he does well, but I just have a feeling he's going to come back to kickboxing if he flops at some point.
I feel it's going to be like when Michael Jordan went to baseball. That's the comparison I'm going to make.
That's a legitimate comparison because, in my opinion, because Tension, I think he's going to be fed. I think he'll be fed bums for a while. And then when he steps up in class, you might see him. Basically, he might have a career like Kyotaro did, where Kyotaro was just regional. And then eventually he came back to kickboxing a long time later.
We got 2 kickboxing matches, unfortunately. Unfortunately, excuse me, on this card. I have really nothing to say much about them, but I'll just read them off. Hiroki Kasara, who is the older brother of Yuki Kasahara, both shootboxing guys, and he'll be taking on Yusaku Ishizuka, and then Ryusei versus Kaishi. And when Ryusei was announced, like whenever there's kickboxing stuff, I always go to the Kickboxing Beyond Kick Discord to just gauge if the person's a jobber or like legit. And like Ryusei is apparently like someone who's like really like who's really somebody to look forward to, and Kasahara is also shootboxing. I really have nothing much to say on those 2 matches. But Mike, I'll forward to you because I know you did research. If you have any thoughts on these 2 kickboxing matches, by all means, go ahead.
I mean, it was kind of hard to find. I couldn't find anything in Kaishi.
Yeah,
I tried looking at the New Japan Kickboxing Federation YouTube page. I couldn't find it. But as far as Kasahara goes, he's a really good body puncher. That's something that stood out to me. As Yusaku, what's his last name?
Yusaku Ishizuka.
Yeah,
he actually lost to. I saw him in Rise. Actually, he fought. I forgot who it. Hitomi Hitachi, was it something like? But he gets hit a lot, and he got knocked out. His defense is not good, so I would think that Kasahara should be. And Kasahara's got a good right hand too, so I'm thinking Kasahara should win by knockout within 2. Just because he looks pretty athletic as well. And I think I want to say he's 26, 27, and 4, which for kickboxing is a good record.
Here's the thing is that whenever it's a kickboxer and they're rising and they have one singular name, if they go by their first name and there's like, I can't find what their family name is, I don't even bother anymore because I've tried looking up like people like Kengo or Kenta who just go by like one name, and it is so incredibly difficult to just find anybody, like to find what I'm looking for. Because what happens if you look up Kenta on YouTube? You get New Japan, you get somebody else, you get
WWE when he was there.
Yeah, so it's like it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Right.
I have been always partial to shootboxing guys. I think that shootboxing is one of the most underrated forms of combat sports that doesn't get a lot of love. I think shootboxing is amazing. I always give preference to a shootboxing guy. What do you think about that, Mike? Do you think that shootboxers come into these matches with a little bit more of a advantage in just a pure kickboxing match?
I would think maybe not really because of the throws, which are not allowed.
Well, they're not allowed, but you can still do them.
In Rizin, you can do that. Yeah. I forgot about that. But I would agree with that. But at the end of the day, as Christian likes to say, I think Kasahara's body punching and Yusaku's bad defense are gonna be the differences in the fight.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but with kickboxing, anyone can beat anyone. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day.
Christian, any thoughts? I know you're a huge kickboxing fan. Christian? Oh no. Christian, are you here? Major Tom? Okay. When he gets back, I'll ask him again. It's interesting where they place these 2 kickboxing matches because, unfortunately, so we have a fighter who I still am not sure what the goal of his presence is, but nonetheless, I guess we can only say so much about this this fight. If I can find the Mike, since we won't be talking that much about the Rise Atomweight GP because Christian and I already talked about it previously with on another show. So I just want to hear your thoughts on overall on the GP. You got any favorites? You got any picks as of now?
And I was gonna say about Ryusei, I looked him up.
Oh yes,
I watched a couple of his fights. He's a real. I can see why there's a buzz about him. I think he's 10-0 with knockout. And he throws, his combinations are really good.
Yeah.
He's got excellent hand speed, excellent combinations. So I would expect him to beat Kaishi rather easily.
Oh yeah. So about regarding the Atomweight GP,
I'm sorry about that. I just want that.
Totally fine. No, totally fine. Tell us, overall your thoughts. You got any picks? Just spew out everything you want to about this Rising Atomweight GP.
Sure. I'll just go through the match order since Rena versus, I can't pronounce this, but Anastasia Svetskivska.
Svetskivska, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And I don't know if it's Anastasia or Anastasia.
Anastasia.
I see it spelled two different ways, by the way, as well.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's interesting because she's booked as a grappler, but to me, she looks more like a striker from the two fights I saw of her.
There are only two fights.
Yeah, like the two MMA fights, but with her amateur background, I mean, I'm not sure how much that's worth because, the gap in class from them to Rena, who's fought some excellent fighters and beaten good fighters too.
Yeah.
And she's, from what Charles Jewett was saying, she's fought, and I saw a couple of her shootboxing fights, she's used to fighting taller fighters anyway. So the thing about it is I feel that she's going to be able to get inside Anastasia's reach. And the one thing I would like to see Rena do, because she's a hellacious body puncher, her left hook to the body is a howitzer. Like it is, like it's nasty. Like when she stretched Andy Wynn, that left hook to the body was as good as anything I've seen in MMA.
Yeah.
I think Rena will be able to get inside and knock her out. So,
one of the things that we did bring up was that we hope to see the old Reina, because I feel like Reina has changed her fight style, and especially because she trains at the Brave Gym now under Miyata. So I'm hoping if it's old Reina, that shootboxing Reina, that the howitzer Reina that you just mentioned, that's the one I want to see come back in this fight.
I think she will, because I think she's motivated to she has a chance at redemption after losing in the GP 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And the fact that I thought she beat Siwoo Park on New Year's Eve, I'm sure that still sticks in her craw.
Nope, she did. She did.
I was going to say, I didn't think Siwoo Park did a damn thing other than one takedown and just smothered her the whole time.
Yeah, held her against the turnbuckle.
And didn't do a damn thing. And then that's a good transition to the next fight, which is Kana Asakura versus Siwoo Park. I don't think there's much to say here other than if it stays standing, Park's going to knock Kana the hell out. Because she hits like a truck, especially at this weight. And Kana needs to get the fight to the ground. But even then, Kana has this habit of not being able to do much when she gets someone down, and she can't do that with Park. Well, he's been training with me.
Yeah. Here's the question I have with. Well, by the way, as well, Park is back at Team Mad. She's no longer training Crazy Bee regularly. I've been told. Well, that's what CJ said. With Kana, though, kind of like a lot of these Rizin originals, I'll call them, who were dominant in their first runs, aren't showing the same dominance now with all this new talent coming in. And Kana's one of them, even though she previously won the first Atomweight GP. What do you think of Kana's recent one? I feel like it's kind of like Reina, where we kind of just seeing, them kind of the downturn in their fighting and their output.
I wouldn't call it a downturn. I would just say that I think they're very good. I just think the people that they're fighting are better. That's what I think. I mean, and Kana, she's she's kind of one-dimensional in the fact that she's a good grappler, but I'm not sure. I'm looking at the site. I wanted to see how many finishes she has. She has 12 decisions. So
Yes.
she does have a habit of grinding out wins.
Yes.
She's not going to be able to do that with Siwoo Park, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I said it during the show. This is the out of the 4 opening round fights I'm looking forward to the most. I think this match could be incredibly boring, especially I think I could see tentativeness on both their sides. Kana not trying to not engage on the feet, and then obviously Park not trying to engage on the ground.
No, it could be where they're neutralizing each other in the corner for 15 minutes.
God.
Now,
great.
come to think of it, you're basically saying, Andrew, that the one fight you're looking forward to the least is Izawa versus Fontoura, but there might be some issue when it comes down to that particular fight, is it not?
Well, yeah. I mean, you talked to her. I wasn't able to talk to her. If you want to give those details, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to, but
I don't want to. I don't want to spoil what I got for Focus Fight Audio. It's just the fact that obviously she's currently going through visa issues, and I basically hate to break this on the podcast, but there's a chance that she might not come into Japan for the fight. Am I right or am I right?
Well, I think for now, for now, it's fair to say that she is coming in. I mean, obviously, hopefully that it doesn't turn out that way, because I think that's a very interesting fight to happen, and hopefully, it would suck if they lost their second main event in this card. And this would be like another like notch in this great card being like cursed in some way with like a cancellation, injury, yada yada yada. So hopefully it doesn't happen. I'm presuming it's still gonna happen. But yeah, I mean, Mike, if you want, what do you think about Fontoura and Izawa, 2 undefeated fighters, 2 champions? I think it's a great matchup. 2 different styles as well.
It is, because as CJ was saying, Izawa's never fought a someone with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu base.
Yeah.
So and from what I saw of Fontoura, she likes to attack from the bottom with arm bars, especially. And
yeah, she's the armbar queen. That's what I think CJ called her.
Mm-hmm. And I also saw the Rizin confession. So she seemed motivated, and she's got that confidence from being unbeaten. Well, both of them do. The one thing I would say as far as that fight, there's a huge gap in competition quality as far in Izawa's favor, regardless of the rule sets.
You saw my little thing while I was reading off the records of their respective opponents that they beat.
And I'm like, I thought to myself, you know what? It happens in boxing all the time where you have people who are spoon-fed fighters, but when they get to the big time, they prove they're for real. We're gonna find out, but on paper, I think Izawa wins this.
Interesting. Okay, that's okay. Do you think she can finish her? Do you think she can?
No, I think it'll be a decision. I think it'll be a decisive decision, a unanimous decision, and it'll be decisive. There won't be any controversy. I just think her aggression is going to be too much for Fontoura.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong. I mean, it's just one of those things where I really like Izawa, and the fact that Hamasaki is still a very good fighter and Seika beat her decisively twice, I feel that proves to me that she's an elite fighter in this division, whereas Fontoura to me is untested. Regardless, if you have to, I'll put it to you like this: if you have to, with the deepest respect to Andy Wynn, if you have to wait to the 4th round to submit her, that might be a bit of a red flag. I don't know.
Fair enough. That's a fair enough response. Speaking of,
who actually watched, the fight that Fontoura had with the Rizin Andy Nguyen, right?
I saw some of it. Yes, I saw like the 3rd and the 4th round. I just felt that if she's as good as she says, as we think she is because of that record, she would have finished Win sooner. That's just my opinion, though.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, especially because also didn't Andy Nguyen also get submitted by Reina as well? Did they?
No, she got knocked out by Reina.
Okay,
with that left hook.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, you mentioned it before. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a. I know what I get what you're saying. That does make a lot of sense, especially with Ayaka Hamazaki. Fuck it. Talk about that match, Mike. Hamazaki versus Jag. 13 years or something, like over a decade in the making. Now finally happening. That could be a main event, in my opinion.
Yes, it could. It could. And I know Aguilar is coming off 3 losses, but I would think she would be motivated to fight a legend like Hamasaki, who she was supposed to fight all those years ago. I would think that wanting to prove that she's still relevant, considering that she's near the end of her career and she's got this incredible opportunity. And I think that she's better with the stand-up. She's a good grappler, so I'm thinking she can, if not out-grapple Hamasaki, neutralize her enough to where she can get back up to the feet. It's going to depend on whether Ayaka can submit her.
My question for you is that Aguilar, she has defeated all the Japanese legends. Fuji twice. Second fight with Fuji, though, shenanigans happen. So if you don't want to count that, fine. Also, if you're a pro wrestling fan, beaten Sumi Sakai, was a one-time the top strawweight maybe in the world, at least in WSOF. What do you think? Do you think she just how there's just like in MMA, like Mike Brown defeated Uriah Faber 2-0, and you would not think that. You would think that Uriah Faber would go through Mike Brown 100 out of 100 times. But do you think that Aguilar maybe just has something against maybe the Japanese fighters, whether that's in skill or whatever, that she can always comes out the winner against?
Maybe, but in this fight, I just think it's going to depend on how much Aguilar has left. Because
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, if she's completely washed up, then Hamasaki, who's shown despite the 2 consecutive losses to Hamasaki that she still got, or Hamasaki, the 2 consecutive losses to Izawa, she's got plenty left.
Mm-hmm.
So
isn't the sorry, go ahead. You were about to say something?
No, I was going to say on paper it's an even fight.
Yeah, I do like that they're both coming off losses. I hope that's extra motivation. Also, isn't the story behind this just like amazing? The fact that she beat Hamazaki's friend Fujino, she beat Fuji, her trainer, twice. And they were supposed to fight years ago, but couldn't. Now they're kind of at the I don't want to say tail end of their careers, but they're kind of at the, I guess, post peak part of their career. So I like the story behind this. I really like the story behind this fight. Yeah. What do you like that as well?
I do. It's insane to me that something like that could happen, and then the fight is booked literally the day of, it gets canceled because of unfortunately the earthquake at that time. But I've pretty much said what I need to think on this one, what I've thought on this one. I think Hamasaki wins by decision.
Okay. Question. If all the foreigners won, would you be happy?
No. No, because Rizin needs all the help it can get right now. You listened to the podcast, man, and we got into a whole big thing about like, if all the foreigners win, is that good or is that bad for Rizin? I don't think it's bad. I guess if they want to they're trying to get back on Fuji. Obviously.
I think if all the foreign fighters win, it'll probably be a problem for the Japanese. But if there is a way for if they can't get foreigners to watch, domestic talent, then they can definitely get, foreign fans by foreign talent,
I got you. Oh, yeah. Also, Mike, can we agree when it comes to like posters, this is like one of the best posters of all time, maybe the best since the Shark Pride poster?
That, or the one, that's an awesome one. The one that I really like was I think it was Dream 9 with whoever that was with the angel wings, the first round of the featherweight GP, I think it was in 2009.
Oh boy, I have to look this up now. Chris, do you have any recollection of that poster by any chance?
No. Was it Kid Yamamoto that had that?
It might have been, but that poster always stood out to me.
That's the one thing is that I always say this, I like Bellator, UFC, I tolerate, but their posters, their marketing is such dog shit.
It's
Like
drab.
it's so
It's boring.
yeah. And like it's like, yeah, like look at this. I love this. This is just like it catches the eye. Even the regular Ryzen posters, even for their landmark trigger shows, they're all like it's all like I feel something. I feel there's emotion behind it. I feel like there's actual effort. It's not they're not giving it to some intern and saying like do whatever. Even deep posters. Do you see the deep poster? I think it was from this year where they were all Deep Tokyo Impact's first round, I think it was, and they were all dressed up in suits. It looked like they looked like all characters from like a Yakuza game.
Oh, like like Hitman.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. CJ probably knows that poster. I'm gonna have to message him about that. But yeah, this is like one of my favorite posters of all time, and I'm going to do my darndest to try to one day get my hands on this. But this GP is great. I think it's gonna be awesome. What I don't think is awesome is the opening fight, Yushi versus Haruki. I have nothing to say on it. Mike.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. Give me 1 sec.
In the meantime, Chris, what do you think? I don't know what to think about this.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Okay. Oh, I guess Mike. Yeah, if you go ahead. What do you want to say about this fight?
Long story short, Yushi seems to be pretty popular, and so he's just as to quote Tony Schiavone to put asses in seats. That's all he's there for. It's a freak show, and that's perfectly fine. There's always a role for someone like this.
Who is this Haruki guy though? Like,
I think he might be the outsider.
Does it
From
say
the outsider?
Okay, because I couldn't find anything.
Let me see what it says on the actual Rizin site. I think he might be an amateur boxer or something like that.
Oh, great.
I guess
that's a fine boast to make.
Utage 2-weight champion, I think, 60 and 70 kilos. I'm not sure what that is, but
I'm sure his mom and dad are very proud. I guess I have like, okay, I get Yushi. I get Yushi. He clearly gets an audience. He's a YouTuber, fitness model, like he has an insane amount of followers on Instagram and Twitter. I understand the first fight that he had with Kota Miura. You have Kota Miura, who's big name, son of a big name soccer player, football player, excuse me. And then you have Yushi come back. He puts up a good fight, I'll say that. And then has a fight of landmark against Zenki in one of the weirder fights, lower weight fights in Rise's history. And now we have this. So do you think he actually wants to do this as like a thing, or is this him? I don't know. Is this Rizin? Do you think this is like kind of like Rizin doing a Jake Paul, Logan Paul thing, but with this guy, Mike?
I do. And to me, there's nothing wrong with it because one, Pride did this with Ken Kaneko back with Crazy Horse, and the Heroes did it with Kaneko against Hideo Tokoro, of all people. But yeah, my thought on it is with anyone, if they're willing to fight and they can sell tickets and you match them the way they should be matched and put them in the opening fight or what have you, I don't see an issue.
Chris, your generous thoughts? Chris, did you? I don't blame you if you decided to leave during Yushi versus Haruki. This is, I guess the one thing I'll say that's interesting is just the height difference. I'll say this also as well. Yushi's a model. He could never be a model in the United States because he's it's 5'5", you see right there. So good on him for his brand. By the way, have you seen his Instagram?
I've seen a few pictures here and there. he's interesting.
He's interesting. I don't think he's ever eaten a carb in his entire life as well. I've never. He is so. He's in better shape than some fighters, even like legitimate better shape.
Yeah, it reminds me of the world of the WBF back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, what just do you have any thoughts or like analysis of like how this fight goes?
From what I can tell, they're both stand-up fighters. So if Yushi can't get inside and this guy has anything, maybe he'll beat Yushi. But if he's got nothing, then Yushi should just be able to beat the guy. I mean, it's impossible to know because I don't know this guy's background all that much. I don't even know what Utage is. In like if it's like an underground organization, amateur kickboxing or whatever. It's hard to say, honestly.
Now think of it. We're talking about Kota Miura versus Felipe King.
No, we're talking Yushi Haruki. We're talking Yushi Haruki. We're getting the trash out of the way first.
Right. Of course. Yeah, I got no, I guess the correct term would be no different opinion, but I'm going to just go ahead and say it as is. No fucks given on this fight. I do think that Yushi's going to win, but obviously, who the fuck's actually going to remember this shit?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. The Mike, Yushi, I think we're all picking Yushi.
Yeah, and then he'll do his poses for Instagram and whatever, and then life goes on.
I'll say this: Yushi's entrances are. Did you know? I think it was for Landmark. He came in a Rolls Royce. That's what I was told. That he actually came to the arena in a Rolls Royce.
Okay, that's style.
Wait a minute, really? He actually did an entrance come out of a Rolls Royce?
No, but he came to the arena. He drove. He went to the arena in a Rolls Royce.
Wow.
Was driven in a Rolls Royce. Yeah, he comes out. I'll say this: he's got flashy entrances. He at least knows the entertainment aspect of JMMA. So I'll at least give him credit that he at least he gets it. And actually, speaking of trash, let's get the shit out of the way first. And you already just mentioned Christian, Miura, Kota Miura, Felipe King Hunter Masoni. Christian, I'm gonna pose it to you first because you did talk to or try to talk to King Hunter first.
Yeah.
What is your gauge on this guy?
Keywords. Try to. Because when it came down to the interview, and I don't want to spoil much of it because you'll be listening to it possibly within the week through Focus Fights Audio. And by the way, Focus Fights Audio is available to get on every podcast platform there is out there, including iHeartRadio and TuneIn, by the way. But still, though, when it comes down to the interview that I tried but eventually succeeded in getting with Masoni, it was just a crock of shit. Let's just be real. I mean, for one, it's like the interpreter didn't even fully understand me. I mean, yeah, I get it. She understood. I mean, she speaks good English, but she just can't understand me. Then secondly, it felt like they were at like a gym / venue where they were having live fights at. So the music was blaring and they had to go to a room that you, Andrew, would probably refer to as a dreamscape. I mean, you probably remember those more than I.
Oh, yeah.
But still, though, the interview sucked. Let's just say that. But the point of the matter is, Masoni was a great person to talk to. It was just that the interview that I had, and you'll be listening to it through Focus Fights Audio, was just bad all around.
So I'll talk about my experience with Masoni. I talked to him. The translator was okay. It was in a gym. Luckily, there was no music, whatever. There's nothing worse than, it sounded like that they were in a gym and there was training sessions. So that's why they're playing music. And you probably heard like pad hitting. I hate that. I really hate that. Luckily, I didn't have that. I'll say this. I think that Masoni is a little bit of a psychopath. He said that he wants to break Kota Miura's face and he wants to soccer kick. He wants to soccer kick his head into the audience. Third row, yes. This fight was supposed to happen at Landmark 3 this year. Didn't happen because Kota Miura apparently is having neck issues, which is okay. That's not good if you're 20 and you have your first MMA match and you're already having neck issues. So, hopefully that's been all cleared up now. Mike, we have the celebrity throwing the future prospects at the Sharks portion of the.
And you know what? It's even crazier to mention. It's even crazier to mention that when it comes down to this particular fight, damn well it's going to be a mismatch.
Yes.
I mean, just like the Yushi Haruki fight, because in the case of this fight in particular, you got Miura, who just came off a fantastic soccer kick finish last New Year's Eve, and in his first fight, no less, against a guy in Masoni who's 9-4, yes, but the dude hasn't had a fight in 3 years.
Mm-hmm. That too. Mike, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I'm definitely going with Kota on this one. I think that Masoni's inactivity is gonna be a factor. 3 years off, that's a long time. Kota looks like he's developing pretty nicely, especially on the ground, and he's at one of the best gyms in Japan in Brave under Kazuyuki Miyata. Also, when I watched Masoni fight, he throws really wide punches. That's something I noticed.
Wait a minute, Michael. So you actually dug through YouTube trying to search for this guy's fights?
I did.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I didn't want to come across like I didn't know what I was talking about. But even for this fight, it's one of those things where I think that Miura will submit him.
Interesting. Do you don't even think so? Do you don't think the gap is even going to be a fact? The gap in, I guess, experience is not even going to be a factor in this?
I don't, because who the hell, with all due respect, who did he honestly fight in Brazil?
I get it.
And I know it's one fight, but I do think that Miura, he's athletic, he's aggressive, which is something that I liked. He's going for submissions, and he looked like he definitely looked like he was trying to finish. So, and like I said, Masoni looks like he throws really wide punches. That could have changed in 3 years, but
if Miura does so, obviously, okay, I think it's fair to say they are getting Masoni to come in and do the job.
While you're stuttering to say things, Andrew, I'm gonna just go ahead and make my prediction.
Yeah.
Michael, you say submit, I say soccer kick, because I do think that this is just gonna be a fight where Kota Miura is just gonna get it done in one and get out of there.
Well,
that's why Masoni's being brought in. It's that's why he's there.
In the chat, with a comment, Miura's future Mikuru Asakura version 2. I think, and they also say Rizin is not going to make Kota fight someone who's potentially a bad matchup for him. Yep, no, that's Masoni's coming in to do the job.
Yeah, sorry, Andrew, but it's only Kota's second pro fight. You're going to have to develop him slowly. I think he's been training for what, about a year, a little over a year.
But I guess a guy like I know that Masoni. I know even you said that the people he's fought, like, I don't, not suck, but like clearly are not like. But it's just like if Kota Miura is fighting somebody who's like 1-0 or 0-4 or I don't know, somebody who I would be like, yeah, I could definitely see Miura winning. But this one's a little bit of a tougher fight, and I don't know, like, I don't see Masoni. I could be wrong. I see Masoni winning. I think Masoni. At this stage, I don't think Miura can beat him in any way. If I know, I watched a bit of his fights. I think on the ground, I would have to say even Masoni is like 100 times better, and that's what Masoni would try to do, is try to submit him. Am I convinced? What is it? Steven Crowder says. What does he say? Is it like, tell me if I'm wrong or change my mind? Change my mind, Mike.
Yeah, I don't care enough to.
It is Kota Miura and Masoni. I'll say that.
Andrew, are you saying that you want Masoni to win because you want to try and, give glory to the underdog, or are you just saying that on a whim?
No, I
You know,
just think
hoping
I
that-
truly think that Masoni has the better credentials to win. Here's the thing: if they put Miura versus Haruki, I think that sounds like a match that they definitely want Kota to win, and he definitely can. And then down the line, if they want to do him versus Masoni, okay, you got someone with more experience, all that stuff. Then yeah, then I'll be like, okay, I would give a more of a shot to Miura winning. I don't know in this case though. This is I feel this could be devastating for Miura. I feel like that's my feeling.
It's questionable, in your opinion. It's questionable matchmaking for this stage of his
For now,
development.
yeah. If it was against Haruki, why not go like Kota versus Haruki? I think that's fair. Especially if you're trying to develop him, you already yeah. I think that would have been the more appropriate fight to make.
We'll see.
What would happen with Ursa and Yamamoto? They bring in Ursa and Yamamoto, and they're
Way too fast.
I know he's fighting Tokoro, he's fighting Saiga, he's fighting Gracie. He's fighting
Kron Gracie and then fighting Manel Cape.
Yeah. I think that Ursa was an experiment that did not work out well, and I think this is the one thing about Japanese MMA. I think that has a history that they usually kind of just throw people to the wolves at the wrong time, and their records go.
Yeah. Case in point, Paul Nastula in his debut in Pride against Minotaur Nogueira, of all people.
Mm-hmm.
What about his second fight against Josh Barnett?
Yeah, that too. Wait, what was that? The one was that the first Vegas show?
Yeah.
Real deal. No, that wasn't. That was his third fight. His second fight was on New Year's Eve against Alexander Emelianenko in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's nothing much more. What do you think about this card, about this fight being so high up? Are you not surprised?
I'm not, because because it sounds like Kota's something of a draw.
Oh, he is.
They want to develop him. So I don't see, once again,
I think out of all the fighters that are not named Asakura, I think he has the most followers on social media. I believe Instagram. That's what I've been told.
Okay, yeah. And that's your answer as to why he's so high up on the card. And they wouldn't have brought King Hunter in if they didn't think Kota could beat him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's why.
The interview with King Hunter will be released this week when I have time to do editing and all that. And like I said, with Christian, he's an interesting guy. I can confirm he is an interesting guy, and I think a little bit of screws loose up here potentially.
Oh yeah, no shit.
Maybe it's that parasite in Brazil or something that makes them really aggressive. Have you ever heard that from Joe Rogan? That there's like some weird parasite that like is in the water in Brazil. Has anybody, or am I the only one that listens to Joe Rogan?
I have not heard of that.
Okay, never mind then. Okay, but this is a fight I'm looking forward to the most, and actually, again, was not supposed to.
I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, sure. This fight was originally supposed to be a different fight. We were supposed to have Dark Shirakawa in place of Yamamoto, but Shirakawa got injured. I'll say injured.
Yeah, of course. It's Vugar Carabao versus Sora Yamamoto. I'm pretty sure all the fans who have latched on to both Vugar Carabao and by extension Tofik Musayev, who just won his Bellator debut and might get an opportunity to fight for the title very soon. They've latched on to them a lot.
I'm
pretty sure they're going to want Carabao to win this fight. And by the way, Tagon is basically saying, great show, boys. I personally know the parasites in Mexico.
So actually, Ike Tagon is a guy who I met yesterday at the grappling show. Great reporter, great content. Please give him a follow on YouTube, Twitter, all the social medias. I think that's the hiragana for in the chat says I'm rooting for Masoni. And also Karamov is gonna maul Yamamoto. I think like stylistically though, this is a very interesting fight though. I'm really listen, if it was a Shirakawa still, Vugar would have killed would have run through Shirakawa for breakfast. Worse than I think Nakajima.
Of course. But considering the fact that Yamamoto, the son of UWFI legend Kenichi Yamamoto, is just coming off a win against Kyo Aguiwan. Kyo Agin, not Aguiwan. But still, considering that previous fight Yamamoto was in, how do you think the change in styles from Kyo Agin to Vugar Karamov will, probably change for him?
It's well, here's the thing, Aguan, however, thought that he won that fight. And I think it was a pretty close fight. I think that Yamamoto lost the Nakamura fight, but I do know why. They probably gave the judge's decision to him. He looked great. He knocked out Suguru Ni. But then he lost to a fighter like he lost to Chihiro Suzuki, surprisingly. Yamamoto, I think so. He's at a weird stage where I think he's a good fighter, but I'm not so sure what his ceiling or where, like, if he's not a gatekeeper, but if he can defeat certain fighters, but then will lose against other will be not competitive against other fighters. I think in this fight though, like, man, that Nakajima fight, Nakajima fight, that Karamov had was that was a mauling. It was a beautiful mauling, and I don't know what Yamamoto is gonna bring that he can even put up against Karamov. Karamov has looked even in the Saito fight, which was close. That was a very close fight, even though there was cheating going on, all that stuff. Mike, did you return, Mike? I can't tell. Is that you?
Yeah, I am. I'm here.
What do you think about Karamov Yamamoto? Do you think this can be? Do you think Karamov will continue on his murderous streak, or do you think Yamamoto has even a chance?
Well, for starters, I'm going to disagree with you on Chihiro Suzuki. I think the guy's pretty decent at MMA, so I'm a fan of his. So, and I think Sora Yamamoto is actually pretty good. They're damn good grappler, and clearly a stand-up is good enough to knock out that stud Suguru Ni. So, but
what about the stud Karamov, Vugar Karamov?
Oh no, he's a super stud. But no, seriously, Karamov's an excellent fighter. He's got good stand-up, really good grappling. That the reverse, the triangle that he did on Nakajima was incredible. That was just wow. I think he has every advantage except the grappling over Yamamoto, and he's good enough with the grappling to nullify that. And there's a question of if Yamamoto can even take him down. So I'm thinking that Karamov by knockout.
In the chat, says Sora won against Kyle only because of Rise rules. That is true. Chris, I'm gonna throw it to you. What do you think? Who do you think whose winning streak will continue and after this fight is over?
Oh, I think Karamov will definitely, and I'm sorry if I'm basically sounding a little disoriented. I am eating right now. I hope it's not being deemed as unprofessional, but then again, we're running on a fucking shoestring budget. But still, though, I think that Karamov I think when it comes down to this fight, I hate to side with the majority on this one, but I think Karamov has that streak of dominance that just can't be ignored. And in the case of Yamamoto, no disrespect to his dad, no disrespect to his legacy, even though he is obviously one of the most underrated stars out of Japan's other leagues, other promotions. But I think Karamov has a streak of dominance that just can't be ignored and can't be stopped. And I think when it comes down to this particular fight, Karamov has been wanting to get back in the Rizin hunt since the pandemic. And Karamov brutalized Kyle Agin way differently than what Sora Yamamoto dealt with Kyle. So I think Karamov is going to run through Yamamoto, probably in two, definitely via knockout, and see what's next for him.
Agreed.
Do you think that Rizin is going to give Vugar the Tofik treatment? Do you think that okay, Tofik's in Bellator now? You know what? Let's make he'll be our new Tofik.
Well, hopefully so. If he's just as dominant as Tofik, which he is.
Mike, what do you think about that?
I think the logical opponent to me after this would probably be Chihiro Suzuki for him, honestly.
I mean, if it ain't Mikuru Asakura, who's currently dealing with Floyd Money Mayweather, then definitely it would be Chihiro Suzuki.
I think if he beats Yamamoto, I would think that he'd have to either maybe get a title shot, or you know what? Listen, I'll tell you this. Two fights I would love to see are either Karamov. Well, here's the thing. Kleber, I have no idea what's going to go on with Kleber at this point. I used to joke that Kleber is just going to be fighting forever without a title shot. But if that were not to happen, if let's just say they can't do a title shot for whatever reason, I think Karamov and Kleber is a firefight to make. Would be, I would really look forward to that.
Yeah, both of them, either of those guys wipe the floor with Ushiku. It's not even close.
Listen. Ushiku always has a way of winning somehow. Don't
probably
don't
a toe injury or something.
I mean, come to think of it, in a way, Karamov can wipe the floor with Juntaro Ushiku, Satoshi Yamasu, and with Yutaka Saito.
Yeah, no, you're right, but he just always wins somehow. Karamov should win this fight. I would call it a huge upset if Yamamoto won.
Yeah, but to be fair though, Yamamoto, like I said, I think Yamamoto's the better grappler. If somehow he can get him to submit Karamov in a scramble, I wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, I expect Karamov to dominate this fight.
Understood.
Before we move, sorry, Chris. Before we move on, we have a question from the Falling Star. I like that name.
Yes, that question is: who's the next superstar boxer that Rizin will try and bring over to Japan? My guess is Tyson Fury as the next candidate if he retires. And I think
he would cost too much.
Yes.
He'd cost a ton. Huh? He'd cost a ton.
Yeah. More than Mayweather.
More than Mayweather.
2 tons.
Actually, I'm thinking they'd probably want to stay domestic on that.
I don't see them. Yeah. Mayweather is a different case.
Yeah.
I did see. I remember that when Sakakibara came to the US, I think it was last year, maybe. He had apparently met with Logan Paul. Is it Logan Paul or Jake Paul at this point?
Logan Paul, okay. Unfortunately.
So I was thinking they were going to try to bring Logan Paul over, but then that didn't happen. I know he's not a superstar boxer, but I'm just going to use him as the example.
Maybe. I was going to say, I'm thinking domestically, this is a long shot, but maybe Kazuto Ioka at one point.
I think.
Come to think of it, what about Koki Kameda?
Yeah, wasn't it supposed to be Tomaki Kameda that was supposed to fight Koji before whatever happened, and they replaced him with Gomi a few years ago?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I'll tell you this. I think when it comes to boxing, they're only dealing with Mayweather, because of I don't know. I feel like that's the only boxer they're going to deal with. I don't know if maybe they'll use people from the Mayweather camp. I don't know, Tank. maybe.
Oh no!
Remember a few years ago that they seemed
Yeah.
it looked like they were gonna bring. They were trying like the
I
first.
mean,
versus
they were
tension.
trying
Yeah.
to
Tank
make
versus tension.
Yeah.
they were trying to make Tension versus Tank Davis happen. It fell up and smoked the second Tank Davis put his hands on his woman.
Yeah. So I mean, other than with May, because here's the other thing as well. I don't know if would it, I'm listen, if Ryusei were to come to like an active boxer and be like, hey, you wanna do an exhibition bout in Japan, I'm gonna guess that probably most managers, agents would tell their guy no. Absolutely not. And plus the cost of bringing them over probably is not worth even what their normal asking price would have been.
No.
Mayweather is Mayweather, so you can buy him for good money depending on what you want him to do. You can't get Fury, even retired. You would not be able to get Canelo in a million years. You would not be able to get Triple G or Loma, Berlanga. These guys I think they would scoff at the opportunity. I really do think that. Mayweather is the only one who has no scruples about turning down a payday, no matter how small or how big.
Well, with how he spends money, I'm not surprised.
That's true. Yes. Also,
I mean,
yeah,
come to think of it, would they be able to get somebody like Deontay Wilder?
No,
no.
Same deal. Too expensive.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to get one of those YouTube boxers like KSI, maybe. Well, if we're gonna count those people, but like, yeah, no, I don't see them getting someone on like a Fury level. And then from Aha, a lot of Japanese fans want to watch Carabao versus Mikuru, but you know why it's not happening. Of course we know, because Carabao would absolutely smoke Mikuru. A thousand times out of 1,000 times. Now I know we're skipping around a little bit. I don't care. Because this fight I am not looking forward to. I think it's gonna be a very boring fight in my personal opinion. Yuki Matoya and Shinobu Ota. Mike, change my mind. Are you looking forward to this fight?
I am, because I'm a big Ota fan.
Why am I wrong?
Because of the fact that you watched his Olympic run or the 3 fights that he
I like Olympic wrestlers who transition to MMA for starters, because I think they bring a different level of skill as far as that goes. It's interesting to see how they develop. That's one. And two, I feel that it felt to me like he really improved regardless of what you think of Kazuma Sone at this point. I felt he was more aggressive. I thought he utilized the Rizin rule set a lot better than he had against Kubo. And I also think that he's ridiculously athletic. You can't teach that. And I feel he's gotten a lot better, and he's training, I believe, with Ogi Kubo. So he's getting trained by one of the better fighters in Japan. So, and I think, would I have matched him with Matoya this quickly? No, but it is what it is. And I think Ota wins.
You think? But so we saw what happened with Tokoro. Tokoro easily submitted him.
2 years, a year and a half ago.
Matoya at one point was one of my favorite submission guys to watch. I don't know. He seemingly is now thinking he's a striking fighter for some reason. I don't know why. Do you think with a guy like, do you think Oda will try to even wrestle a guy like Matoya?
Yes.
Really?
I do. But there's and one of the things he also did well against Sone, I thought, was keep the positions that he wanted. And he's got such an advantage, strength and athleticism wise and wrestling skill wise to Matoya. He can take it wherever he wants, because at least my impression is Ota loves using those knees.
But if he doesn't protect his neck, Matoya will take it very easily.
Right. And I'm making the assumption that training with Ogi Kubo, he will know that. I'm assuming that he will actually have enough submission defense to stop that, because the fight's gonna go wherever Ota wants it to go, just with the gap in wrestling skill. Matoya is gonna either have to knock him out standing or work off his back. Because no way in hell Matoya out wrestles for any length of time Ota in this fight. But once again, that's just my opinion. And I know I'm in the minority on that.
Chris, throwing it to you. How do you think this fight goes? Oh, well, I'll finish. I forgot. You're still eating. Finish your food, then come in. I'll just give my quick thoughts. I think we've seen that unless Ota comes in with some great submission defense on his part, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Mike. I feel like Ota's. I think against somebody like Kubo, that's different because Kubo doesn't know anything about submission or defensive wrestling or takedown defense. And then when he fought I forgot who's the other guy?
Kazuma Sone.
Yeah, Sone downturn of his career and seemingly never. I don't think he won one fight in Rizin, if I'm correct. I think, I don't. If Matoya fights like he used to, not doing this stupid stand-up thing that he seemingly tried with Takizawa and failed, and then was successful against Okada during the GP. But if he's got, I need that aggressive submission hunter Matoya that we saw at the beginning of Rizin, and in Deep and all that. Chris, I hear you. So
what you're basically saying is Montoya's going to beat Ota, right?
I think he's going to beat Ota. Yes, I think he's going to submit Ota. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of see it in a way that, it'll go to a decision, but hopefully it'll be an exciting fight.
That's the one thing I'm worried about. I don't know. Because here's the thing. If Ota is hesitant to go for a takedown, then he's not going to do it. And then if Matoya is going to try to hunt to bring him to the ground, it's going to be I feel like this can be a stalemate between these two.
I mean, in that case, considering the fact that Montoya has considering the fact that Montoya is 40 fights or 40-something fights into his career, I wouldn't mind seeing Montoya win. But then again, you have to realize Montoya is old and he still comes out to the same damn Eminem song. I mean, so of course the Eminem curse is going to come into play, and Ota might win, but then again, it's only going to happen if Montoya screws up.
Yeah, I mean, and and he had his output, his fight against Yamaniha was very boring, very just like lackadaisical effort on his part. He won, but it was by minimal effort. I'm hoping this fight is better than what my mind is perceiving it will probably be. And I mean, do you think it'll be boring, Mike?
It depends on Ota. Depends on what his game plan is. Like I said, I think if this is going to go wherever Ota wants it to go, just because of the gap in wrestling and the athletic ability and strength.
I got you.
And I like I said, I know I'm in the minority, but I think Ota has all the potential in the world. But and I'd like I said, I'd like that he's training with Ogi Kubo. We'll see how he's improved in 7 months since New Year's Eve. That was his last fight. So that's a long time. And to me, Matoya, I'm not sure if he's on the downside of his career, but he's certainly reached his ceiling. So if Ota's for real, we'll know soon enough.
I think he's on the downside. It's you could tell by also what fighters output as well. And if you watched Bellator this past weekend, one of the worst main events that I've ever seen in my entire life, with Douglas Lima and Jason Jackson. You could tell that Lima his career is done, or he's not caring anymore at worst. So
come to think of it, considering the fact that AHA is basically saying Rizin rules changes everything, Do you think that if that Bellator main event that just went down, Lima versus Jackson, were to be contested under Rizin rules, that, the entire trajectory would have changed?
Between those two, I don't think so. I think those two, it would be a shitty fight no matter what rules or what venue, I think. I really don't think it would have, that fight would have been just as shitty. Did you see that fight, Mike?
No, I had actually gone out that night, and
You
from
made
the
a smart
sound,
decision. You made a very smart decision.
the only fight I really was interested in was Tofik, and I saw that he won in 24 seconds. What was it, 24, 25 seconds?
Yep.
Awesome. Love
Yep.
Tofik.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Dude, that dude, Rex sitting the outlaw. He's going to get that number one contendership in his second fight.
Yeah, and it's a rematch with Patricky, right?
Yep.
From the GP final.
Yep.
Possibly so.
Yeah. I hope they go with that. No, if they go with the Magomedov, I'm not opposed to it, but I think Tofik is more deserving of it, just because he's already beaten him previously, and it would be and plus 5 rounds championship. Tofik, former champion. Listen, I think it kind of writes itself to be booked that way. And I even said this, I even said that Jason Jackson or whoever's next in line for welterweight shouldn't even get it. I think that Tofik should get it as well, just because of how good he looked, and how shitty Jackson looked. Now, the next fight we're going to talk about is interesting because I think Chris, we both thought this guy retired, or at least he said he retired, right? Didn't we think that Marcos Yoshio Souza had retired?
Yes, Marcos Yoshio Marquinhos de Souza was supposed to have retired. But then again, he hasn't fought since Rizin 21 versus Falco Neto back in February of 2020. You remember the card where Matt Stryker was basically commentating out of a damn bathroom, right?
Yeah, that was the one where his brother did that exhibition, right?
Yes. Choked out a child.
That Falco Neto sucked.
Of course he was. He came in as the training partner to Manel K. What the fuck did you expect?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. And I think he even said after the match or during the post fight, he said that he was done with MMA. So I thought he was going to focus on the Bonsai Jiu-Jitsu gym, just train there, corner his brother, Kleber, and other Bonsai fighters. I guess Rizin, well, I guess also because I think what are they doing? It's 80 kilos. That's about 170, I think that is.
176 pounds.
Okay.
Is this fight going to be against former UFC fighter and former welterweight King of Pan Place champion Daichi Abe?
Well, yeah, I know that 170, anything 170 to 185 is basically a dead division in Rise at this point. So,
you got to think about it, Andrew. Anything above 155 pounds for Rizin is dead.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the amount of fighters that are in this division in Japan, you can count on your fingers. I mean, okay, Souza, Abe, Kinoshita, Yuki Kondo,
Yamato Nishikawa.
Yeah. Sumimura. Is it Sumimura? And Strasakichi. Yeah. That's virtually all it is at this point. Oh, and I guess Akira Okada. But I think he's sticking with 155 at this point.
You know what? What about Kita Keitaro Nakamura?
I think he's done with MMA. There's no indication that he's coming back at this point. If he has not fought in this long, I'm assuming that he's not. I mean, Souza didn't fight for a while, but he's got his gym with his wife Sugiyama. I don't think there's no I think we would have had him back sooner had he been so willing to fight, but I guess whatever reason he's not fighting, whether that's a retirement or just waiting. But
come to think of it, when it comes down to this fight in particular, and I'm looking at the Tapology I'm looking at basically the Tapology predictions right now, even though they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They basically saying that 71% of the fans are basically saying that they want to see Abe win. Why don't we explain why they're fucking wrong?
Well, I don't think they're necessarily wrong. Mike, I mean, you're familiar with both these fighters. I mean, obviously Souza, can easily submit Abe, but Abe, I think, can easily knock out Souza.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Either if Abe keeps the fight on the feet, he's gonna knock out Souza. If Souza gets him to the ground, he's gonna submit Abe pretty quickly. I don't think there's much. I don't think there's much to explain with this one. I think that's pretty much how it's gonna go. Either one could win.
How do you think it goes though? If you want to make,
I'm going to go with Souza by submission.
First round. You think
Yes.
Souza's like, I'm not being paid by the minutes. Take this fucker down and just choke him out.
Absolutely, because Abe. If I'll put it to you like this, if Abe got submitted by Akira, and Akira's solid,
yes, but
he's no Souza on the ground.
That's a good point. That's a very
good. Even close.
You bring up a very good point. He's been submitted by a much lesser fight, a much lesser grappler in him. And also, by the way, he's also been submitted. Well, I wouldn't call this guy a lesser fighter at all. Ev Ting, if you watch one, has submitted him as well. So
I was going to say there is one factor, and that's ring rust.
Yes. With
Souza. If he's rusty or has nothing left, then Abe wins. But I think Abe, who trains with Gomi, ironically enough, and his takedown defense isn't that great. So that it's an interesting fight for that reason. But yeah, I'm going with Souza by submission in the first.
Yeah. Chris, throwing over to you, my friend. What do you think?
I got Marquinhos via knockout in the second.
Wait, knockout, you're saying?
I mean, come to think of it, didn't he do the same thing to Falco Neto?
I thought he submitted Falco Neto.
Oh, damn.
Knockout by strikes, I think, ground and pound, wasn't it?
Research. Jamie, pull up Daichiapi's record. Oh no, Souza's record.
Oh,
I'll do that. Chris, you talk. I'll look it up for you.
Point of matter is Souza is 9-2 overall. He's 1-1 inside the Rizin ring in this case, because both of his fights have taken place in the Rizin ring so far. But yeah, ring rust in his case is definitely going to play a factor, even though with his brother being the lightweight champion, I highly doubt that ring rust is going to play a factor into this, because he has been training his ass off with Banzai Jiu-Jitsu even when he hadn't thought about fighting.
And you are correct. It was by punches. So
that's basically saying that Marcos Yoshio de Souza is going to be winning this fight via second round KO.
I think Souza will win, but I think he's just going to. I think he's first round submission. Yeah, if that's the smartest way to fight this fight, on his part, and if Abe's smart, he won't get taken down and submitted. I mean, that's easier said than done against somebody like Souza. But yeah, Souza, I think he hunts for the takedown, takes down that guy, and puts him in a choke. And we'll have to see. Maybe we'll see if he says he wants to fight again, or if he doesn't want to fight again. Yeah, this fight's going only one of two ways, I think. If it goes any other way, I don't know, I'll eat my shoe or something. I don't know. It does really there's no other way. If Abe submits Souza, I'll eat a shoe. I'll eat my shoe live on a stream.
Nah, don't pull a tie bound to a Vasa, dude.
Actually, Mike, for shits and giggles, what would you say the over-under odds of Abe submitting Souza are?
I would say I was going to say they're about as likely as the Coyotes catching the Roadrunner.
Yeah, fair enough.
I couldn't come up with something better, so
that's fine. I'm going to tell. So the main event might be in question right now officially, but I think this next fight, this is officially my main event, and I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, you like, I mean, in the immortal words of Big E, you like big meaty men slapping meat, don't you?
I'm glad that Shrek is coming back from the swamp to defend the swamp's honor. Oh man.
Oh my God. You do realize that Tsuyoshi Sudario is still training with Ensign anyway, right?
Not as hands-on, because Inoue is living in Hawaii, and I was told that Sudario is mostly just training. They're still like close, but they're not like training as hands-on, because Sudario was living in Hawaii for a time, I believe, but now he's back to living in Japan. So I think he's doing most of his training without Inoue around. I think Inoue will still be in his corner though, I believe so, because he is in Japan right now. But regularly, I think that Sudario is training without Inoue. Man, this is, we want to talk about perfect build-up. This fight has a true perfect build-up. We got
It really does.
Shrek, the
really
pro wrestler who's been defending the honor of pro wrestling as an MMA fighter. And we got Sudario, the pro wrestling killer, who has finished all these pro wrestlers in every match that he's been. We got Shrek on the up and up, saying that pro wrestling is psycho. And oh man, I'm so excited. Mike, thoughts?
I love this fight. It's such a freak. It's such a freak show, but yet it's awesome. And there's the revenge factor with Sudario wanting to avenge his brother.
I don't know if Sudario wants to avenge his brother. Let me just put it that way. I've hypothesized that they're not on the best of terms. I'll put it that way.
Fair enough. It's ironic. I actually have a twin brother, so.
And if you want to talk about twins, they look exactly the same. They could do a Bella twin thing, and I wouldn't even know the difference.
They really could, but it's an interesting fight because even though Shrek's 48,
yep,
I believe, he's got a wrestling and a grappling background, and he's pretty damn strong for starters. And Sudario's still young in his career, but he's also more athletic than Shrek, of course.
And the height, look at that height difference, 5'9", 6'2".
Yeah, and then Sudario, he's got decent striking. It's better than Shrek's.
Yes.
So it's gonna depend if it depends on if Sudario's in good shape. If he's in good shape, I think he stops Shrek. If he's not, then I think Shrek submits him.
I don't know if Shrek will submit him. I don't know. It's very hard. Chris, I don't know. I need some.
Don't underestimate the power of the swamp.
Exactly. Yes. Chris.
Of course, because Hideki Shrek Sakine is a former ADCC Asia competitor, and not to mention an All Japan pro wrestler. Mm-hmm. But I don't think this fight's going to be a submission by any stretch of the imagination. I think these are going to be two big men beating the dog shit out of each other, and one of them is going to go weeble wobbling and falling down.
I mean, like this. Do you want Shrek to kind of pull out the win here, considering where his career was and where it's going now on the up and up? I kind of like. I want to see Shrek come out the winner in this.
I do too.
You still have any faith in it, Mike?
I do. I mean, it's just going to depend what kind of shape Sudario's in. Mm-hmm. It depends if he doesn't gas out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we haven't really seen him gas out though, really that much. Here's the thing with Shrek though, is that even when Shrek is gas, Shrek as a gas fighter is still a dangerous fighter somehow.
Yeah, he's not going to quit.
Yeah, he's not going to quit. And here's the thing with Sudario's one loss was he came in injured, or he got injured during the match. So my mind is melting. I forgot his opponent's name.
Almost Shibasai.
Yeah, Shibasai. He didn't look good in that fight either. and then we have not Sadari. We have Shrek beating Shibisai, albeit got his ass kicked for a good round or two.
Choi Mubei.
Are we doing MMA math here? What can MMA math be at all a factor in Shrek winning?
Could be.
Man, I want Shrek to win this. I think this is gonna be a fun fight for 3 rounds. Maybe won't even go even beyond the first minute. I don't know, but I think this is gonna be a fun fight. I am all on the Shrek return train, or the Shrek swamp train, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm all behind him. I'm all behind him in this fight. So Dario, if he loses, it's fine. Shrek, this is potentially his last chance to make an impact as a heavyweight in Japan in Rizin. I want to see future Rizin heavyweight champion Shrek.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
I do. 100%.
I think that Sudario has a better chance to be a heavyweight champion, especially considering how young he is.
Yeah.
Compared to his much older opponent, who's damn near 50.
Our buddy Chris Aguilar, MMA, says Shrek will drown Sudario in his swamp. Shrek supremacy. That's what I'm calling it. Shrek supremacy. With this fight.
Mr. Ag on this, I think the swamp will be drained in this one.
Oh no. Sudario will not drain the Shrek swamp. Okay, so let's be more detailed of our prediction. So, Mike, I think you said first round knockout for Cesario.
Yes.
Chris, what was your prediction? Your exact prediction again?
Second round knockout, Sudario.
Okay. I'm gonna say third round knockout, Shrek. I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, I mean, who knows? We're all saying it's gonna end via finish. We're all calling on spots like Babe Ruth. Hopefully, we won't be screwed over, and it doesn't go to a decision where it's 2 big meaty men basically laying and praying for 3 rounds.
Hopefully, if anybody saw the Davian Franklin, Marcelo Golden fight from this past Bellator show, listen, I hope it's like that, but like 100 times. I want to see power drivers. I want to see power bombs. I want to see an F5 during this match. I just want to see insanity in this match.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely get the crowd up to their feet.
Yeah, no, this is the people's main event. That's the term that I've heard. This is the true people's main event.
Yeah, of course. But considering the fact that we've now gotten towards the actual, well, first of all, I mean, the fight you got up right now, I think it's Hideo Tokoro versus Makoto Shinryu Takahashi. I thought you were going to go straight to the Case versus Takeda fight.
Well, no. Well, here's the thing. If they have to make a main event, that could potentially be a main event as well. But I think this fight, this will be the most technical fight, I think. Mike, I think you're looking forward to this one as well, you said?
I am.
Yeah, tell us.
Because I'm a huge Takora fan. Been a fan of his since the Zest days, before he got into Heroes, actually. So,
well, so what do you think? Do you think Tokoro, the veteran, he's making his return, his MMA return? I think it's been 3 or 4 years, right? Since the
year and a half. He fought Ota on New Year's Eve in 2020.
My God, that seems like it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
oh my
it
God.
does.
And against Shinryu, who is a force at flyweight. And by the way, this is also at flyweight as well, which Tokoro hasn't fought at flyweight. Is it ever, or at least maybe since the beginning of his career, I believe.
It's been a long time. That I'm not 100% sure about.
He probably hasn't fought at flyweight since the K1 Heroes days, if not since Dream.
So yeah, well, so basically we have almost mirror images of these two grapplers. Tokoro obviously being the veteran, and then Shinryu being the future of flyweight potentially. So how do you think this fight goes?
Well, I'm gonna go with Shinryu by decision. for starters, but it's going to, as you said, it's going to be a grappling heavy fight. One of the things that's always frustrated me about Tokoro is that even when he gets good positions, he almost always sacrifices that for submission attempts. And against Shinryu, can't do that because Shinryu is the better wrestler. They'll take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
I also think one thing that helps. Another thing about Tokoro, he's a better striker. He's actually pretty underrated striking wise, I think.
If you remember from the Tenshin boxing match, he actually put up a great attempts in their exhibition.
He did. His one problem is that he has a weak chin.
Oh yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He's been stretched way too many times. But I think if he can keep the fight standing, he would have the advantage there. I don't know how good Shinryu's stand-up is. But
so Shinryu's you can see some of his fights from deep available easily. It's good. It's not bad. I've seen worse. That's all I can say about it. It's nothing that like makes me like, yeah, that guy, yeah, like he can knock out Tokoro just as much as maybe somebody with no striking, just because, like you said, Tokoro's chin is very suspect now.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I think would help Tokoro is that Shinryu is not a finisher, although his submission against Fujita was very good.
Yeah. When he first started, he was not finishing anybody, and then after Rizin, he finished I'm forgetting.
Ito?
Yeah, so he's finished Ito, and then now he's finishing everybody. Apparently, now it's like the opposite. Now he's finishing everybody instead of decisioning everybody.
Yeah, and he'll be able to dictate where the fight goes because he's the better wrestler. But he's going to have to be on his guard constantly because Tokoro just flings submissions constantly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll say this, Tokoro seemingly, has not slowed down.
No, he hasn't.
He's still, I know Ota, Moto, that was his first fight, but listen, Tokoro can still slap on an armbar pretty easily, and get you that way. Is it the case of where you pick Shinryu, but your heart says Tokoro?
Absolutely, 100%. It wouldn't shock. I'm going with youth on this one. It's not like Shinryu's bad inexperience. He's what, 12 and what's his record? Like 13-2, 14-2, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was one.
It's actually 13-1-1.
Okay, so he's 13-1. Okay, my bad. But he's got a good record and he's experienced in that. He's experienced.
Yeah.
For such a young fighter. So I don't think there's not much he hasn't seen, but of course Tokoro is probably the best grappler he's fought so far. As far as just like pure grappling talent, not the best maybe not the best fighter, but the best grappler.
I gotcha. Chris, throwing this to you. I know you're a big Tokoro fan as well, and I know you also like Shinryu. How do you think this fight goes?
I mean, if anything, if it doesn't end via submission, which the human octopus Hideo Tokoro is known for, I think it's going to probably end via decision with Tokoro winning. Because if you think about, I mean, I know the experience advantage don't really come into play, even though Tokoro has like 70 fights in his career. But for Takahashi, even though he might not win, and I'm looking at the Tapology stats right now, the fight predictors are saying that Tokoro has a 4% chance at winning. Fuck those people. But still, I think if Takahashi loses, Makoto Shinryu Takahashi loses, if he pulls off a good enough effort, we'll hope to see him fight in Rizin, with more to come. But I just think that Tokoro is going to win this via decision.
Should also mention that he is the current flyweight champion deep, and I have heard that he will be soon making or sending, I guess, feelers to UFC. And that seems to be the goal. Yeah.
So basically, Makoto Shinryu Takahashi wants to fight in the UFC.
Yes, and I don't want this could be potentially he wins this, and then maybe we'll be in UFC much sooner rather than later. That's my understanding.
Yeah, but that's only if he gets a dominant finish, which I don't think he's gonna get here.
That's true. No, that's true. But I mean, here's the thing: he's looked dominant in all of his fights, but the one loss. So he certainly is pegged to is a favorite to win this. But I'm somebody who likes to side with age, and I'm hoping, and I'm saying with my heart, I think Tokoro. I'm hoping that his experience will prevail against Shinryu's, youth, vigor, great wrestling as well. I know his chin is suspect, as we just mentioned. I think when it comes to submission, though, I'm gonna give the edge to Tokoro. I'm hoping that this is a good fight for Tokoro. I hope he realizes, where his weaknesses are against Shinryu, and he does have quite a few. If he does not, he's prepared. He will lose easily. And I'm being that Shinryu hasn't, fought in the Rizin ring in a while, I think maybe Tokoro will come in and use that ring to the advantage. Realize he can use that ring to not get taken down, hopefully, and maybe we'll get some. I don't know. I don't think Tokoro will finish Shinryu. But I think Tokoro can definitely, if he plays it well, does not, kind of doesn't just head dive deep into a submission and lose position. He can have a chance to win this, I think.
Yeah.
So
he's got a shot. I just think Shinryu's wrestling is too good.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. And if he's smart, he will try to not fall. He will not try to get caught by him. But but if I'm also Shinryu, like you said, his chin is very suspect. So he may not even have to wrestle. He could even try to knock out Tokoro, and I wouldn't even blame him for going that route. So that's why Tokoro's got to fight a little bit more, I think, I guess, safer, or at least more tentatively or smarter. So if he doesn't, then yeah, Tokoro loses. But I do think that Tokoro does have a chance to win this. I really do think so. I don't think that this is not Tokoro being thrown to the wolves and is going to lose 10 out of 10 times. He does have it. He can win this if he fights this fight smart.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. But it's just a matter of if his chin holds up.
Yeah. I also, the 125 weight thing, I'm also curious to see how Tokoro fights at that weight as well.
Yeah. And the weight cut.
Yeah. Listen, some people are good with weight cuts. Some are not. I feel like the weight cut would not be difficult for Tokoro. I feel like he's not that big. I'm guessing he probably walks around 140, maybe 145 on a holiday. If he pigs out. That's my guess. So I feel like the weight cut won't be that much of a factor in this. Listen, I think clearly Rizin would rather Shinryu win. But listen, I want to see some of these veterans make comebacks. I love it when I see a veteran make comeback. Listen, I'm all on the Daisuke Nakamura train. I'm all on the Shrek train.
Right.
Listen, let's add another one. Let's punch another ticket for another veteran, Tokoro. Especially because he's.
I was going to ask you guys a quick question, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
If they're since Rizin seems to be building a flyweight division, considering they had Yamato Fujita and Yuki Ito on the last card.
Yeah.
They're not going to do a Grand Prix, and you have the Deep Jeep flyweight Grand Prix going on over the next 7-8 months, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Would you just book a match for the title and book Shinryu against, say, Takaki Soya?
Interesting. No. Right now, I think so. If they do a flyweight title, my guess would be, presuming if Shinryu wins this and he doesn't go to UFC, then you take Shinryu and then you have him face the winner of that GP, maybe in Rizin. And so my thought to that is because of how if if Deep is smart, they do that final in Rizin. I don't think they will. I think it'll probably be in Deep, but you do that and then have that for the Rizin flyweight title. That's what I would do. I would bring a lot more notoriety to Deep. It's something you build up to, and it's also I think I'm trying to think when are I think they're doing the first batch next month, and then the month after that. I don't know when the finals will be.
Was
Though.
it
That's
four, I think it might have been broken down like 4 in August, 4 in September. Is that what it was for the first round?
I believe so. Yeah. I think also here
if anything, when I spoke with actually, y'all still talking about this fight with Takahashi and Tokura, right?
Yes.
Because I was about to say maybe they could do it in September and have it alongside the women's super atomweight Grand Prix semifinals and the Mayweather Asakura fight.
I mean, that'd be good to have it on such a card with notoriety like that. But I don't know. I think also here's the problem with flyweight now is that I think a lot of these flyweight fighters are going to be try to get into the UFC at this point, whether at flyweight or bantamweight. I think the problem now with Japan and the yen being worthless, and the financial difficulties in Japan, I think it's having a lot of financial difficulties with these fighters as well. I mean, we saw the UFC just had their Road to UFC thing, and they got a whole bunch of fighters that I didn't think were going to be bound for UFC or presumably at this point get a chance for UFC.
Actually, here's the thing about that: they just had the first round. They don't know when the hell the semifinals are going to take place.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the problem also with flyweight is that Rizin, they seemingly will they'll give it some smoke for a while, and then it just disappears. I think last year when they had like Ito, Shinryu, and then this year they had Sawamoto and Uda, and then you had another bunch of other flyweight fights on the Trigger Show, and now you got Deep doing their things. So that already takes time away from those fighters. Well, I don't know what Rizin is. They seem to it's starting to stop with flyweight.
They are. They're very much the company in general is very much in the transition phase.
Transition, seemingly always in a transition phase. Jake Demko says Sakine versus Cesaro will be fight of the decade. How about fight of the century? I will up you on that and call it the
fight of the millennium.
Fight of the millennium. Fight of the multiverses. That is what it will be.
We can only hope that fight will actually be great. Just like this fight, which we're going to basically talk about as our main event here. And it's a fight that I most certainly am looking forward to. Johnny Hollywood Case versus Koji Takeda. Both men are coming off losses. In the case of Johnny, so to speak, he is coming off a loss for the lightweight title and is now moving up 2 pounds or a kilo just to fight Takeda.
What do you think? I want to ask you something, Mike. What do you think? Since Rizin doesn't really have rankings, do you prefer seeing like losers versus losers, winner versus winners, or how like when it comes to like booking like feature fights?
Well, it depends. Well, one, for me, it depends on the context of the fight. If it was like a bad decision or something like that.
Okay, fair enough.
That's then normally yes, unless there's like a specific reason, such as like a controversial decision or a freak injury or something like that. But yeah, generally I like that approach too.
Yeah, I think having these two guys who both lost their previous fight,
yeah, it makes sense.
And also Takeda, who was probably on the way to being Satoshi's opponent for that title before he decided to stupidly take a fight that he shouldn't have. And now he's facing the former contender, Johnny Case.
And to be fair to Takeda, he was winning that Spike Carlisle fight before he got caught.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I'll give them that. Yeah. What do you think about this fight, Mike?
it's pretty simple to me in this case. If Johnny Case keeps on the feet, he'll knock Takeda out. Takeda's stand-up isn't that good. And Takeda, I think his best shot of winning is by decision, by just grinding out a decision, by taking cases back like he's done with plenty of his opponents, not just in Rizin, but in Deep and doing his suplexes, because he's not much of a finisher. But I just think Case has more dimensions to his game, and he's got pretty good takedown defense, I think, from what I've seen, and his stand-up is much better, and he can punch. So if Johnny plays his cards right, I think he'll knock Takeda out probably late second, early third round.
Chris, I have a very important question for you as well as your prediction. How tan does Takeda come into this fight?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Are you only saying that because I have a bit of melanin in my skin?
You have a little bit of melanin. A little bit.
Well,
not as much as Takeda, though. I think Takeda probably has more melanin
am,
sometimes than you.
I mean, in a way, I'm paler. I'm paler by comparison than Koji. And he just gets tanner and tanner within the day. I basically asked, Johnny Case this question when I did an interview with him over the last week that should be up for the upcoming Focus Fights audio episode. Will he come in as tan as Takeda for this fight? He basically said no. But still, though, I think this fight is going to be significant for Case to get back in the title hunt, if not back to some type of relevancy, even though, of course, no international audience is going to be watching this, well, outside of us who are the diehards, so to speak. But still, I think this fight is going to be significant for Case because he wants to shake the feeling of losing that big opportunity to Satoshi de Sousa, Roberto Satoshi de Sousa. And as far as Takeda goes, he just don't want to get his ass whooped by another American.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you said it best, Mike. Case wins in the stand-up. I don't think he'll get taken down easily. Case is a wrestler as well. I don't see him getting taken down by him at all. If Souza wasn't able to even take down Case, if I remember correctly.
No, he didn't. But Souza's strength is not so much his takedown; it's just his ability to get you to where he wants you to go, regardless by any means necessary.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If Case can avoid the takedowns, yeah, this is easily Case's fight to win. And can he finish Takeda? I don't know if he can finish Takeda. Takeda is a tough guy to finish. I mean, he got his first loss just in his last fights, and his losses before that were just decisions. So yeah, I think this is Johnny Case's fight to win very easily. I don't see what Takeda can bring. Well, here's the thing as well. Takeda did train at King's MMA. He did briefly train at King's MMA for this fight. He did say he was going to train with Spike Carlisle, and he did do that. I mean, does that at all? Do you think that will have a factor in this fight, Mike? At all?
It might. I mean, it's more exposure to American training methods.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's different than what it is in Japan. So maybe I'm not sure it's enough time, but at least he'll have an idea of what to expect.
Yeah.
I would think. But I don't know if it's enough time to implement whatever he learned fully.
Now, do you think the winner of this fight should get the next title shot against Satoshi?
Juri Ohara.
Oh man, I so hope that fight.
It would just be. Think of it. If you think about the winner of this fight getting Juri Ohara, which of these two fighters do you think would stand a better chance against a fighter like Ohara?
Sorry, Mike. I wanted to. Did you say that Juri Ohara should get the next title shot, or do you think that? Okay, yes. Oh, okay, gotcha.
He should, because he's beaten Yachi, he beat Akira, he's been on such a big streak in Deep. I don't see why he shouldn't get the immediate title shot. And have Johnny Case. If Johnny Case wins this, I'm just trying to think of some. Maybe if you make him come down, maybe put in Yamato Nishikawa from Pancrase. I think he's from Pancrase, right into that title mix, since he's 20 years old and he's someone you can try and market.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Even though I think he's he's worked at welterweight, but I thought I read he was willing to come down.
Good question. I don't know offhand. I was gonna say if Case were to win this, I'm just like I'm plowing through my head right now. All the lightweights in Rizin right now. He's beaten most of all the top guys. I mean, he did beat Souza actually. I mean, what about do you save him maybe for if Bellator and Rizin do a show later down the year? Maybe have him go up against a Sydney Outlaw, maybe.
Have him fight Spike Carlisle.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good fight to make.
I mean, that would be cool for Case versus Carlisle, but it wouldn't be so cool for Case versus Outlaw, because in the case of Sydney Outlaw, he just lost to Tofik Musayel. What more do you want from him?
But Case also lost to Tofik, so I'm fine with that. So they both lost to the same guy. I got no problem pitting those two. And plus, I think it'd be an interesting fight as well, stylistically, because they're both Outlaw is a striker kind of, but he's an underrated grappler. Case though is mostly striking, so I think that'd be a little cool, interesting fight. I mean, hopefully this I do like Takeda. Hopefully this is not his his downturn after that loss. That's always interesting to see how a fighter is after their first big loss. And this to me as well is his first big loss. I think so far, I think the only people that so Takeda's lost to Damian Brown and he's lost to Spike Carlisle. Maybe
and Yachi.
And Yachi. Oh yeah, he lost to Yachi. Maybe his Achilles heel is foreigners. Maybe he loses to every foreigner that he ever fights.
Would you even count Yachi as a foreigner?
No, but I don't think he lost that Yachi fight in my opinion, but the ones he clearly lost against were against foreigners. So
yeah, of course. So he's not used to facing tough competition outside of Japan.
As quite possibly, that might be his Achilles heel. We have a question from the Falling Star, and they say, should Sakaki Bar send scouters to minor promotions all over the world to find the best talents before anyone else has a chance to sign them to a contract? Mike, what do you think about that?
Absolutely, 100%. Rizin needs all the young talent in depth to see who they can build. They're, because like you said, outside the Asakuras, who do they really have and Rena to a lesser extent, who do they have who can draw?
They do that. I mean, Deep is just around the corner. Whenever
right. I'm saying more like you're talking. I think he's talking about more like
LFA, CFF.
Yeah, I was going to say your gladiators, your Grachans.
Oh, okay. They bring over gladiator fighters,
right? But not that often. Not compared to Deep.
Well, that's true. I mean, Deep. Psyche and Sakaki Bar go way back. Right. I thought he was talking about like a promotion like LFA,
maybe,
or CFF,
or KSW even.
They had a thing with KSW. I don't know what happened with it. It's seemingly
come to think of it, you can also say Combate Global.
No, that's true. But listen, if they got somebody who's like basically LFA at this point is a feeder league for UFC. PFL to an extent as well. I think that's what they gotta do is and they were doing that at first. It's not like Rizin just wasn't doing this. Remember, they got people like Cape, they got Jiri, they got these people who are now sorry, who?
Nemkov
as well, yeah, who were prospects and regional
virtual unknowns.
I want to say
big stars in the UFC and Bellator.
Yeah, exactly. And so they were doing this successfully before. Pandemic fucked it up because obviously it was difficult to bring foreigners in. But now you also have the issue where UFC is now having to go to UFC. They have not Dancing with the Stars, Dana White Contender Series. So
even though in a way it feels like Dancing with the Stars because one guy moves on, the other doesn't get anything.
And so you're having also, and here's the other thing I also think as well, and this is a generational thing. You're having a generation of fighters now that are only have grown up with UFC. A lot of these fighters now that are being scouted by UFC are in their 20s. So a lot of them born 2000, 99, 2001. I know, I can't believe that. People were born in 2000. And they so let's see. At most, they're 7 years old when Pride is around. They're not watching Pride. They're watching UFC on not Spike Paramount, whatever it was called, TNN. They're watching
Spike TV. It was Spike TV at the time.
Okay, Spike TV. They're watching The Ultimate Fighter, and Japanese MMA is non-existent to them. They have no idea what it's about. They don't know what it is. They hear, they've only seen the clips when they show clips from like UFC shows or Fight Pass, and to them Rizin isn't Rizin, it's Rizin. So you're having a generation of fighters that whose own it's like Mike, as a wrestling fan, for a while WWE was the only place that wrestling fans wrestlers could go to because it was the only promotion that they grew up with and that was around. So
yeah, and they also, and that's why they did the initial brand split from SmackDown and Raw, to try and create that internal competition. Didn't work.
But the whole thing with the WWE being the only game in town, pal, that only lasted for about a year and some change.
TNA.
Yeah, no shit. MLW.
But yeah, so like if you go up to, I don't know, whoever is a champion LFA at this point, or CFF, or go up to one of their champions, and Sazaki Nakahara wants to offer them a contract, I guarantee they turn it down because their goal is UFC. And
unless so much money.
That's true. Even with money, I don't even, because you're gonna have the managers who are gonna tell their fighter, listen, you're better off going to UFC. I mean, smart managers would kind of do what Tofik did or Jiri did or whatever, who say, listen, build your name up here, and that can make better negotiations for UFC. But I think at this point, we're just seeing a new generation of fighters that just don't that Japanese MMA is not of interest to them. Same thing with the managers. You'll have like very few you have smart managers like Shuhurata that will probably tell their fighters differently. But then I'm sure that there's a lot of other fighters that are just, and managers that are just like, no, your goal is UFC. That's where you go. And now we also have a problem with a lot of the Japanese fighters, with Japan having financial difficulties. I'm guessing that must affect pay as well. Now a lot of them are making roads to UFC and maybe even Bellator at this point.
Or one.
I guess one
championship.
One does have the Amazon Prime deal, so and 100 billion followers.
Money.
That's true as well. That nice the investor money that we all know is 100% kosher. So yeah, I know. Falling Stars question, yeah, they should, but their competition right now is unfortunately UFC, and it's hard to compete against them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, but they have the belt. At least they can use some Bellator talent. Worst case.
I mean, well, you put it this way: when Jiri became a free agent, he didn't even go to Bellator. He went right to UFC.
True.
So, and that to me was a big miss for, I don't know what happened. If you remember the press conference where Sazaki Nakahara was asked about Jiri, well, a few times I've seen Scott Coker like get angry at not getting a fighter, and I can understand why, because it's Jiri. Look at him. He's my favorite fighter in UFC right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not named CM Punk. So yeah, it's unfortunate. The MMA landscape, especially through the pandemic, has changed a lot, especially with Rizin. How when it first started. Look at a lot of the cards from Rizin when they were up until 2020 of the beginning of last year, of 2020, beginning of 2020, not last year, and look at them now. They are much more different in terms of who they are getting for their shows.
Yeah. And you know what? They've just got to work with what they can. They'll sign new people. It's just a matter of signing the right people and building them properly.
Here's the other also on bringing the question as well. So it's the point as well that Falling Star asked, if Rise is not going to pay attention to international distribution or viewing, then they really have no incentive also to really bring over international fighters.
Why I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Why do you disagree with that?
I just think because Japan, from what I know, is a society that they love seeing Japan versus the world.
Yeah.
So
no, you're right.
And even then, you would still, even if it's just for internal consumption, for lack of a better term, it still puts their guys over.
But then, wouldn't you want the world where they're coming from?
I would. You would, you would. But assuming that they don't, there's still that you can still market it domestically at least.
Chris, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I think when it comes down to the problem of Rizin getting international fighters, and the fact that somebody like the Fallen Star saying Sazaki Bar should send scouters to minor promotions all over the world, I think that's the problem. I think the problem is a lot of these younger fighters, like you said, have no idea what Rizin is all about. So much to the point where it's more than just them mispronouncing the promotional name. It's basically more about them not knowing that there's other MMA there's other forms of mixed martial arts outside the ones that they're used to seeing that actually exist.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean,
that's the fact that Rizin obviously is going to go through problems now with international distribution because, again, Live Now is dead now. Fight TV, which basically is Triller. Well, I mean, I guess it's TrillerNet, Trillerverse, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. They're too busy in their own bullshit to try and dig out and, think about other things. And I don't think there's any other platform right now outside of DAZN who, if they go to DAZN, they're going to own their rights too. But still, I don't think there's any other platform out there for Rizin to showcase themselves internationally outside their own stream pass. But the thing is, I do think that sending scouts around the world, I mean, because Shingo Kashiwagi, the everyman for Rizin, can only do so much. But sending scouts outside the world would be a good thing. It's just the fact that a lot of fighters out there are going to think differently because they have no idea that Rizin exists in some cases.
I'll say this as well. When the one fight that seemingly most people know Rizin for is Tenshin versus Mayweather,
or Crazy Horse versus Miura.
I guess that too as well. Then I think you're not promoting.
Wait a minute. Why did I say Crazy Horse instead of Miura? It's Crazy Horse versus Kimura. But I get what you're trying to say. You're not promoting them well enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
Internationally, anyway.
Internationally, yes, internationally. And I'll just say, discussions on Rizin have been much less in the social media sphere, and it's and whether that's because lack of international fighters, lack of international streaming, both other things, I don't know. It's if that's the thing is that Rizin at one point was a fighting federation. It felt like, this is where the world comes to fight, not just even Japan versus foreigner. It was just where you could see fighters from all over the world come and fight each other, from wherever promotion, no barriers, no borders, yada, yada, yada. And now it's seemingly less about that. And I think that they need to. This is, I think you said it best, Mike. They are in transition. They need to figure out what we're going to do. If we don't care about the international audience, whatever, that's fine. You'll if you want to still make some money from international people, they still can, even without English commentary. I think, yeah, they seemingly, I don't know, they were walking with 2 left feet and 2 right feet, and seem to be blindfolded at the same time as well.
Yeah, they do. I think Shingo is a good booker. I think they know how to scout talent. I think they will figure it out, and there's still plenty of talent in Japan domestically that they can do. It's just a matter of financially. We don't know if they're in good shape financially, but from what you've said in our conversation and based off of something you said in the chat, in the Discord, it doesn't sound like they have anything to worry about in the short term.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say in the short term, yeah. And I'll hesitate to say anything otherwise unless like there's something like egregious that I hear about. Yeah, here's the other thing as well. If they do this, if they do take all their fights off YouTube, they're just gonna hurt they'll just hurt themselves as well. Because
they will.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing you can do. If they want to have like their fights going forward after whatever on streaming pass or whatever, fine. Okay, that's different. Or if they want to just like reach one fight from each card or something, that's fine as well. But if you take all the fights as well, you're taking away
the advertising.
Yeah, you're taking away free advertising basically, and you're going to.
The same can be said for the Rising Confessions episodes, which I just watched their recent episode before getting on the chat with you guys.
I think they'll keep the confessions on, but for some reason they want to have the fights only on their pay service. I don't think they're going to give up YouTube entirely, but they want people to subscribe to their YouTube their streaming pass, fight pass, whatever they're calling it at this point thing, which I think is really dumb because they also don't have the clout or the cachet that like UFC does. And I said this, I said this same thing about Bellator. I was talking with Ike yesterday at the show, is that Bellator has to realize that they do not have, that they have to promote better. It's not like, oh, Bellator's having a show, people are going to come. You have to put your fighters out there, TV, whatever, Reddit MMAs, I don't care, to let them know these fights are happening. UFC can just say, we're having a fight this weekend, this day, this is who it is, people will come. They don't have to, that's all, they don't have to do anything extra.
Yeah, because they have the ESPN deal, which is a widely distributed network, and Showtime is very limited.
Yeah, and also because they're UFC, they don't need to do anything.
No, same can be said for the PFL as well, who's also on a deal with ESPN.
Well, yeah, exactly. Same thing with PFL as well. So yeah, this is if Rizin chooses to go 100% into their streaming thing, that'll be very bad for them in the long run. Unfortunately, guys, we are running out of time. I would like to close off with one question. Which 3 fights are you looking forward to the most? And I'll start with you, Mike.
I'm looking forward to Shinryu against Tokoro, Ota Matoya, and then Rena against Anastasia.
Interesting. Okay. Chris?
For me, and I'm going to have to go and up the ante and say the 4 fights I'm looking forward to. Obviously, 2 in the men's divisions and 2 for the women's Grand Prix. The 2 fights I'm looking forward to for the men are Johnny Case versus Koji Takeda and let's see, Souza versus Abe. And the 2 fights I'm looking forward to in the women's Grand Prix are Aguilar Hamasaki, and if it happens, Izawa versus Fontoura. What about you, Andrew?
So easily Shrek versus Dario. Yes, that's a must. I'll pick one from the Atomweight fight, because I think all but 3 I'm really looking for. All but 1 I'm looking forward to. And I will pick out of all that Hamazaki versus Aguilar. Because I love seeing Hamazaki. I'm a fan of Jag, and I love the history behind this fight. And I'll have to pick one more. You know what? Carabao versus Yamamoto. I want to see some Carabao dominance, but you know what? I won't. Yamamoto should lose decisively,
Mhm.
but maybe maybe we'll see something different. Maybe we'll see something different in Yamamoto. Hopefully, he realizes he did. So apparently, he took this fight because he said he was not happy with the last fight that he won against Nakamura. So when Shirakawa got injured, apparently Yamamoto was like, reach out to Ryan, was like, can I be in it? So yeah, so I have to admire somebody who's like, yeah, I fought about 2 months ago, but I'll fight again. Very I have to admire that in a person. But yeah, looking forward to this. Rizin Live, I guess, or Rizin from Stream Pass, maybe. Who knows? It's Rizin. They're always in transition, as Mike says. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they announced something on the day of, an hour before the show, like some sort of.
Oh my God!
Knowing
Like
them, they
how
probably
used to
would.
do?
Knowing them, they would for sure.
Oh my goodness! I mean,
Well,
that would be a pain in the ass for them to deal with, but they're used to being pains in the asses.
Mhm.
Now, Mike, before you go, I don't know if you have anything to promote or anything you
No.
want to promote, or I don't
Just
know what to say because we've been just talking by email. So
You
Yeah,
know
'cause
what?
I don't do.
Michael. Shamelessly put yourself over. Put
Yeah.
over your social media handle. Put over.
I don't have social media. That's the thing. I don't.
Aw.
Yeah,
Well, how
because
can people contact you?
I have an email address. I can put it out there. I don't care. It's,
I mean,
I don't care. I can put my email address out there. I don't care. I just
whatever you want to do, Mike. The floor is yours.
just one. Thank you guys for having me.
Well,
This
thank you
was
for reaching out.
no problem. I hope I didn't embarrass myself. And if anyone wants to contact me, my email address is msalt7@aol.com. Critiques are welcome. You won't be offending me at all if you have some constructive criticism. This is my first time doing this, as I said. And that's about it.
Listen, I think you did great, man. I think you're great. You came in with knowledge. You even looked at the kickboxing stuff, which I stopped doing. I stopped doing that ages ago because I just didn't give a shit anymore, and I was getting frustrated just trying to find any sort of video on some of these guys. No, I think you did good, Chris. I think positive comments as well, sir.
yeah, I agree, Mr. Soltsits. You did well.
Thanks. Hey, you actually got the pronunciation the first time. Soltez.
No, Soltez,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And I was gonna also say, Andrew, just a quick question. Do you know of any, since you have some context, do we know of any fighters that maybe are on the way to Rizin in Japan?
I'll say yes. I can't say any names though. I think Chris, you also know some as well, right?
Yes, but I'm not gonna display that here. I'm gonna put that over on my podcast.
Yes.
Right. I'm just asking if there was any, like, since we were talking about the need for depth and new people, that's a good thing for Rizin, because, like I said, they need all the help they can get. And the one thing I'll say about UFC, with all those fighters, there is the downside of watering down the product.
Well, I think that their product is watered down because they have way too many shows every week.
And that's why you need all those fighters. Hence,
and interim champions, and as well, it's clear that they do not get behind fighters unless the fire breaks out somehow on their own. It's really, I call it the CFC, the Connor Fighting Championship, because even when Connor's not fighting, I feel like I hear more about Connor than like anything else. It's like it's so I admire it because it's really like when Connor leaves UFC, I'm really interested to know how UFC is after that, because clearly they are Connor somehow manages to still keep them propped up and keep them news. I'm gonna miss all these articles about Connor's tweets, when that all these MMA sites do whenever Connor just tweets says anything.
That's the power of charisma. It really is. And
the power of clickbait as well.
True, it is true. And it's also the power of kissing enough ass just to stay relevant.
Yeah. That is true. And all the money from proper number 12.
Oh yes, proper 12, which is absolutely gross, by the way.
Please drink responsibly, folks.
Yes. But Chris, take us out.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, if you want to check out Andrew, he's available through MMA Sucker at MMAsucker.com. You can check him out on Twitter and Instagram at abenja1. You can check him out on, well, actually, you can check out the podcast Twitter at We Are Rizin Pod. That's WeAreRizin all in one word. I promise I'm gonna get it right the next time, damn it. And you can, and if you can, and hopefully we will get back to, getting back to podcasting. You can check us out on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast streaming app. And don't forget to check out Focus Fights Audio on all those streaming platforms, plus iHeartRadio and TuneIn. I'm having a fucking brain fart right now. But still, though, obviously, that has been it. We hope to check out Rizin 37 this time next weekend. Obviously, it'll be July 31st from the Saitama Super Arena in Saitama City, Saitama Prefecture, Japan. You can check out more information on that through Rizin Fighting Federation social handles on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And in the case of Twitter, they got 2 Twitter handles, Rizin_PR for the Japanese, Rizin_English for the international fans. But other than that, that is it from us for now. I have been the Chillmeister Chris Gary for Andrew Benjamin and Michael Soltez, saying thank y'all for tuning in. If you want to check out more on me, you can follow me on Twitter at ChrisGary92 and on Instagram at ChristianGary1992. And from all of us to all of you, we say thank you for joining us. We hope that you we hope that you protect yourself and each other at all times. And as always, as the great Lenny Hart always likes to say, and that's it. We done.